Hi guys, this is my Sister Wives complete season 1 recap and review. Let's go back in time. Can you believe Sister Wives season 1 was filmed in 2010 while Robyn was entering the family? I barely recognized Kody and the wives in season 1, but there were definitely hints even then that Christine just was not happy. And at the end of the video, I will let you guys know who I thought was the star of Sister Wives season 1. So let's get started. Let's go back to the beginning, shall we? So Sister Wives season 1 opens with none other than Kody's voice. It kind of sounded sweeter back then, just saying. And he says, "My name is Kody Brown, and you've got to meet my family. I'm a polygamist, but I'm not the polygamist you know. Love should be multiplied, not divided." So it basically sounds like polygamy propaganda. I don't know how else to describe it. The voiceover also plays over footage from Robyn and Kody's wedding, and I feel like this is all weird foreshadowing because this was the big shift that brought us to where we are today, you know? And I'm also reminded that these were the famous basement wife years in Lehi, Utah, back when Christine was in the basement taking care of 12 kids constantly, and she also hated that Kody refused to shower in her apartment. Janelle was even less there than I thought she was, by the way, but I'll address that a bit later. The first wife to ever appear on the screen is number 2, Janelle, but she doesn't even speak. You can tell she's so awkward with the cameras at first. No one's kind of used to them yet. And she's kind of just there smiling awkwardly. I would be smiling too if I had the entire half of the house to myself, by the way. I just feel like Janelle had a huge proportion of the house to herself. Anyways, then Kody just opens the door and there's Meri coming up the stairs looking super awkward too, with Mariah not far behind. And then, Kody goes to the basement to see Christine, and it's Christine's first scene ever, and she's even pregnant with Truly. And this was their first confessional look ever. They look so young here and kind of happy. Kody, for the record, says he's in advertising sales for anyone wondering what he was doing at that time in 2010, and it's getting time to break it to the kids that there's a new wife coming into town. Cut to a scene where Janelle is helping make dinner, and she's telling the girls, Maddie, Aspen, and Mariah, "You're not getting married until you get an education." And Maddie mentions she wants to go to beauty school, which clearly never happened, by the way. And the adults talk about how they want to raise contributing members of society. And honestly, I think they have. So this is a mission accomplished. Their kids are really great. Immediately in the first episode, Christine admits that if her needs aren't being met, she'll tell Kody, "I need a date. Do you understand?" And will basically make him take her out somewhere. Christine's so funny here. She says, when people ask, "How do you feel knowing he's off with another woman and he's, having what?" And she says, "Well, gosh darn, they'd better." So this is pretty iconic. Meri at one point jumps on Mariah's bed to wake her up randomly and then talks about her fertility struggle a bit. This is a storyline for season 1, which is admirable that she opened up like this. She says that having a bunch of kids was not in the works for her, and for years she wasn't okay with it, but now she's more okay with it. I just feel like she's couching it. There's a lot more to unpack here. We also learned that Meri was going to school for psychology to work with at-risk youth. She hadn't gone to school because she got married young to Kody. Something else that did not pan out because Meri is, as we all know, a LuLaRoe retailer, not working with at-risk youth at all. Peyton, Christine's son, appears and he gets a loose tooth. And there's this fun scene where Meri, we learn, is the tooth puller in the family. And she pulls Peyton and Gwen's teeth within like 10 minutes, which is actually pretty impressive. Janelle comes in now, And she says she's usually gone from 6:15 a.m. to 7 p.m. on most days. What the heck was her job? That is such a long time to be gone with 6 young kids at home. And let's talk about Kody's bedhead hair in this episode, because it appears a lot. It's almost like a secondary character. Comb your hair, Kody, if you're going on national television. For someone who really cares about his hair, this is epic bedhead. We learn that Logan, the prodigal son, makes breakfast for all of Janelle's children in the morning because, again, she's gone before they even wake up. Logan is, in season 1, he's such a leader, and Janelle says she's even worried about him because he's wound up tight. Janelle says, point blank, what we all know. She goes on about how she prefers working, and Christine likes to cook and all that, and that she can say, I want to go see a movie, and she has someone to watch her kids. She says, I don't have to do everything. Poor Christine. Does Christine get to go to the movies too? Just asking. Christine also makes Kody breakfast every morning too, by the way. That's kind of like on her list of duties. And at this point, she's scared of toasters, so she heats up bread in the oven every morning. Another iconic scene. She said she heard that toasters kill more people per year than sharks, but then she ends up burning the toast in the oven. So not sure what's safer. Smoke like billows from her oven in this scene. Because she was so busy, she forgot what she was doing, which is such a mom thing. Christine says she's the one in charge of making the home run smoothly. So living in the basement and raising like 12 kids, no wonder she can't relate to Robyn having a nanny. And this is a shameless addition of Peyton, Christine's son, recently wearing a What Does the Nanny Do shirt, because I just had to put it in here. Janelle's like, we need a 4th wife. It's getting kind of boring. And Meri agrees. And Christine says, you guys are insane. They gather all the kids, and Kody finally tells them, Robyn has her choice, but I think we should invite Robyn into our family. And this is the exact moment. Seems like everyone was pretty excited in general, or appearing to be. Robyn at this point lives 4 hours away, and the first thing she ever says on the show is that Kody's her soulmate and she loves him. Go figure. And as the credits roll on the first episode, Christine is like, I don't like my boat rocked. And in my mind, I'm like, well, get your life jacket, Christine. The boat is gonna rock. Get ready. They've really been through a lot since 2010. In episode 2, they're shopping for baby items for Truly, because at this point in the show, Christine is pregnant with Miss Truly. Meri, Christine, and Janelle are there, and they're looking at ballerina slippers. Christine is starting to look visibly disturbed by Kody traveling all the time to see Robyn. They show Kody leaving the house in Lehi, and he's bringing Aspen and Maddie this time to visit Robyn. Mostly because he wants them to babysit, because he wants to take Robyn out on dates or whatever. But Madison and Aspen babysit, and Kody brings Robyn to a restaurant where they get hot chocolate and whipped cream, and Kody gives Robyn a string ring that Madison made for him. So there's that. So I guess at this point they're kind of engaged. Meanwhile, the wives in Lehi go on a date to a pastry shop, and Christine admits that Robyn is really pretty, but she's the most jealous of the fact that she's so sweet and that she could be replaced as a companion. Moving on to episode 3. It starts with Mykelti, Aspen, Madison, and Mariah gossiping about their dad and Robyn. Mariah's like, he's a teenager again. And they actually throw a little birthday party for Robyn, who is, we learn, turning 31. In a confessional, jealousy issues start to bubble up already, and Christine freaks out that Kody sealed his engagement with Robyn with a kiss. She says Kody didn't kiss her until the altar because she didn't want to kiss a married man. So it seems like there are different kind of like standards within, the wives of who thinks what's okay. Robyn is there too, and she cries for the first time on the show ever, and she says when she found out that Christine was upset, it broke her heart as well. Christine and Kody go to a pregnancy appointment next, and there's a lot of talk about how Christine had a big hemorrhage with a miscarriage like the week prior, and she had passed out. And Janelle says it was really scary, and she didn't think that Christine was going to have another one. So hence why this time there's no home birth. It'll all be done at the hospital. And this episode's kind of all about Truly's birth a little bit, which is kind of cute. But later, Christine is now 1 week overdue with Truly, and so they go to the hospital to see what they're gonna do. And Christine is all about giving birth on the 13th that day so that Kody's 13th child could be born on the 13th. So she's like, let's get induced today. Kody leaves Christine at the hospital while she's getting induced to go see Robyn, who is also watching Christine's kids, by the way, during all this. And Kody and Robyn escape together to share a smooch while Christine is in full-on labor. So they kind of try to hide it. It's super awkward. I don't remember seeing this scene. Robyn says, "Oh, I have a granola bar. You should bring something to eat." And then they kind of sneak off for a kiss, which I'm sure Christine was not happy about when she watched this. Truly then is born with Aspen, who was there too, although Aspen says she wasn't really looking. In the next episode, the ladies go shop for Robyn's Claddagh ring, an Irish ring that they all have, for a gift for her wedding day. It's also Meri and Kody's 20th wedding anniversary coming up, and they'll go to Mexico, which makes me think of the huge difference between this big trip to Mexico and what they did last season for their 30th anniversary, where Kody didn't even remember what year it was. Anyways, Janelle wants the cheapest option for the ring for Robyn, of course, and Mariah talks to Kody at one point in the episode about going into the Navy, which I thought was so random. She wanted to be a doctor in the Navy. But we also learned that they used to go to a homeschool coalition, basically for polygamists, where at the end of their schooling there, kids would have to take a GED. So they switched to public school, thank goodness. At their dinner at Lakai for their anniversary, Meri says, you know, Kody, just acknowledge that I have these jealousy issues. And Kody kind of is taking it back because Meri orchestrated the whole Robyn thing. So it's weird that she would want something so bad but then have jealousy issues. And actually, at the end of the dinner, he tells Meri, "I am devoted to you. I don't even have the words." Like, what contrast to 10 years later, all I have to say. On vacation, at the restaurant, and even throughout the season, I'm struck by how kind of in love they look. They look almost like they have the most solid marriage of all of them. On the 20th anniversary trip to Mexico, Meri and Kody talk about in vitro, and Meri shocks Kody by telling him she doesn't really see the point anymore. And I understand. I mean, her daughter's what, like 15, I think, at this point. It's kind of, you know, maybe that ship has sailed, but I know they're going to continue talking about this throughout the seasons. By episode 6, there's a lot of tension about how Kody's time is spent. So it's like Groundhog's Day. This is always an issue, I guess. Christine says a fiancé should not have the same privilege as a wife, meaning, you know, Robyn shouldn't have the 4th day yet. Meri actually agrees with Christine in the confessional, and Robyn gets a little testy. She's like, what should be different? I've never even seen Robyn being talked back to by Meri like this in an episode. Robyn says, I should have the 4th night now because I moved my whole life here. And Meri says, you know what? A lot of people's lives have changed, Robyn. Which was so, it's true, right? Anyways, let me know what you guys think. Do you think she deserved that 4th night? Anyways, episode 7 is all about preparing for Robyn and Kody's big wedding. The wives go flower shopping. They each get to make their own arrangements. And they go cake tasting with Kody. Kody spontaneously dances, and it's so cringe. They also go to check out venues for reception, and I find it super funny because Janelle goes on and on about how she hates receptions. They just give you food and you go. And then they all take the opportunity to pole dance, except Janelle, of course, under this arch or whatever, which is kind of a fun-loving moment. Robyn looks great in the wedding dresses, and Christine kind of ominously starts talking about how things aren't going to be the same and she doesn't know what it's going to be like. I don't understand why they picked brown dresses to wear at the wedding. It seems like an odd choice, but maybe like the brown for the browns? Maybe that's why? Maybe because of modesty? Who knows, but I would not be caught dead in a brown dress at a wedding. Kody in the confessional says, I've got a bomb. Yeah, I've got a bomb I'm dropping today. And everyone's kind of wondering, like, just say it. What's the bomb? He says, I picked Robyn's dress. And Christine is so upset. She storms off and talks about how he didn't even care what she wore on her wedding day. It's been well documented that Christine even hated her dress, in fact. And Meri is kind of like, it's kind of a slap in the face. Yep, I mean, that would hurt me too. He's making such a fuss about Robyn's dress and wedding. And meanwhile, Christine they didn't kiss until the wedding, and her wedding dress, she kind of hated it. Episode 8, now this is the finale. It's the big day of the wedding, and it's gloomy, and Robyn put the wrong address on the invitation, which is crazy to me. That's like rule 101, put the right address. So she had to create this jar with the right address on it, and she left it at the wrong address. I mean, come on. They all dance and everyone looks pretty happy. At the very end, they talk about the future, and Meri says, these ladies are my best friends and I can't wait to see what's next. I mean, if you knew then what you know now, Meri, all I have to say. So for season 1, the star of the season for me was Meri. She was super vulnerable, her fertility and all that, but she seemed almost like the number one wife. It's crazy. She's so balanced, even keel, but still fun. She called out Robyn. I don't know. That's just my opinion. Also, I notice more now that there were hints of Christine going through stuff even back then, Let me know what you guys think of season 1. And like this video if you like it, and leave a comment for sure, and subscribe to my channel if you're not subscribed. Bye guys.